Hello friends. Okay, this is the fourth video I've made on these little file utilities that I'm storing here at the File Tools organization on GitHub. And this one is really cool. This is like maybe my favorite one. It's called Documentation Summary Generator. And I even made this nice little README file that details what it does. What it does is summarize a bunch of loose files in a directory. So if you use Obsidian or you use Logsec or any of these programs that are really popular now, encouraging people to write in Markdown, you have the benefit of having offline access, but you do not have the benefit of a database view where you can see all your files kind of in alphabetical order or all of your files summarized in one page by folder. Those are things like Notion, which are database backed, do really well, but Obsidian doesn't always do that well unless you use these special plugins that are coming out right now. But it's really cool to have a way to basically just summarize all the contents of your directory, even if it's in many different folders in a deep file hierarchy, to be able to see a list of all those files alphabetically, or to see them all in a CSV. This script also will scan and parse all the documents and show you a report of all of the internal and external links. So if you have a big folder, maybe you're even analyzing someone else's documentation and you just want to look at what are all of the resources that they link to, what are all the links, this script will help you. Okay, so let's get into it. I'll just grab the link here, we'll clone it. And then I have downloaded the Obsidian documentation. This is what Obsidian's documentation looks like on the web. It's, hundreds of pages. And they do a beautiful job like everything they do. And they're all it's a fixed hierarchy. They likely link to a lot of different outside resources, but we can't easily sort all the pages alphabetically. We can't really do we can search, but we can't do a lot of things that you would do if this were just in a database. Here is Obsidian's documentation on the web. They have different translation folders. So we're just going to do the English folder. So let's do it. I just downloaded the script right here. Open it up, and we're going to see that there's a nice little sample file here. And all you do is just write your own sample file or your own config file and copy the sample data into the config, okay? And then you can see in the comments some documentation on what we want to do. All we want to do is summarize the English version. So we'll choose that as our root directory. And then let's just create an output folder here. Let's create a summary folder. We could write it right into the directory. If it's if you're working with a repository that you control, you probably just want to keep your summary under version control. So you want to write it right there. This is someone else's repository. We're just kind of analyzing. So I'm just going to write it in another folder called summary. We can even drag in the summary folder right into our workspace here, so we can kind of quickly see it calculate and output. And then we're just we set this to the links external report, which is just going to show us what we're about to see. So we run it, and very quickly we have a Markdown document that we can look at that shows us all of the external links. So you can see, okay, Mermaid is linked here. That's a dependency. Pandoc, they use Pandoc. OneNote.com. I guess that's Microsoft's thing. Text Bundle, I've heard of that. And on and on. You get a really good sense of like all the dependencies, all the relationships just from this external links report. You can also see it in a CSV view as well. There's a cool plugin for VS Code or Cursor that like allows you to edit CSVs right in here, which is really nice. Another quick aside, the modern CSV viewer is also kind of a game changer. Just so nice. You can open up a bunch at a time. Nice summary. But this is just a great report, right? Like all the external. So that there's one. And then if you want to just see the internals, there is another report that I won't go over, but it just shows you all of the internal page links. So that's like equivalent to a backlink report. And then the other really nice things, these are more like the database features are, if we want to do pages alpha. So this is like the equivalent if you're not just in Notion, but more like if you're in Finder. And if you're in Finder, you could create a smart folder that just, even in a complicated file structure, will show you all your pages alphabetically. So you could do it that way. But this is nice because you could generate this report and it goes into another folder called Pages Alpha. And you could just put this in the root of your documentation as like another way that people can, view all your files. So it's, this is just this is a one file script. You could even keep the script inside your documentation. And when you make significant updates, you could just update it. So you can always keep this index file. It's basically an index creator. So this is all your files sorted by alphabetically, and then the last report that I currently have is grouping everything by folder. So I can run that pages by folder. It's just right there in the documentation. It goes into these nice pages by folder. So this more closely represents your file system. So it's not clear this is as useful because it's not really unique, but it is a synthesis of everything all into one page, which is kind of nice too. I wrote at the end of the README some additional ideas that I had, like could see additional reports like maybe some sort of tag report or an author report, grouping everything by author. If that was written in front matter, that would be pretty easy. Haven't done those, but just wanted to share that. I think those, basically the alphabetical report and the external links report have been useful for me, especially when I want to make it easier on something I've written or when I'm studying someone else's documentation. Okay, thanks for tuning in. If you have any comments, send me a note or, create a pull request. We could make it even better. Probably some things I'm overlooking here, but I was pleased at how quickly these reports were generated and love that it's just one file. So it's not complicated. That simple config is so nice, which makes it so easy to just keep this in your little, handy tool belt on your desktop. And as you're writing new documentation, just run it and have this really nice view for your users. I will say as a last note that Obsidian has just released their core plugin called Bases, which does a lot of this and is really powerful. It does not generate like a CSV or a markdown file like this, though. It basically just gives you a new user interface for viewing your files outside of their normal folder hierarchy. So this is still kind of useful for creating these summary folders that you can then put into version control within your own repository. So still quite useful because of that.